Welcome to Padres Talking Padres. Had some technical difficulties, and that's about it.
As usual, one of us seems to always have technical difficulties. So,
Well, I'm using Jay's setup, and uh, and it just he had it set a certain way, and I had to figure out what he was doing. But anyway, we're here talking Padre baseball. As of now, no new owner has stepped up, but I like some of these owners are mentioning all
yeah,
seem to have deep pockets.
yeah. Obviously, some of the names are out there. Some are groups, some are names, again, the only ones that we know. Um, the guy up from Oakland,
Yeah.
Jacob, and then a couple guys who own some soccer clubs out over in Europe. And then
There's a
there's
Korean.
talk today that there's an Asian group from South Korea. They're supposing that are looking at it, but yeah, I don't expect otherwise.
Cronky.
No, I mean I haven't heard Cronky.
Yeah,
Um,
I was watching something today, and they said Cronky is. There's rumors out there that he'd be interested.
yeah, I mean it's all about the asking price because the latest article from Dennis Lynn said that they're asking for somewhere close to 3 billion, even though the team has been evaluated at 2.3 billion. Which always makes sense. It's like selling your house. It's like, hey, I want to make a profit on what you're going to make, um, but they're expecting the bidding process the end of February. So I've listened to a lot of commentators on this and everything, but the one that resonates the most with me is the Padres aren't going anywhere. They're going to be in San Diego.
I hope
Uh,
so. I mean, I the only one I worry about is the Golden State Warrior guy, but I can't see him moving the team to Oakland. I mean, they got a worse
yeah.
television contract probably than us. So
Well, from everything I read, he has his interest is in keeping it in San Diego. He has no intention of moving.
I would like to see the Seidler brothers maybe put a thing in there that where he has to sign like an extra 25-year lease.
The bottom line is that you're not going to get it any better than what you got here. If like you said, where can you move it that you're going to get a better deal as far as television maybe, but everybody seems to be leaning towards that the next contract is going to include some kind of revenue sharing in the TV contract. That's yet to be pursed out and everything, but I just don't see that there's any place you're going to go that's not already there, which is New York, L.A., Boston, Philadelphia. You know, there's not any large markets out there that you're going to get a better TV deal just because you're the only one in that area. Um, but the bottom line is that Sidlers have been very truthful and honest about this whole process, and I don't see that they're going to all of a sudden take more money because they find somebody that wants to move them. I just don't see it. So,
No, I worry about later. I mean, obviously, if you're a fan of San Diego sports teams, teams move.
yeah,
I mean, two NBA teams, and it was because of owners. The first owner couldn't afford to keep the team. Second owner was the worst owner in professional sports history. Then you had the Chargers, who again bad ownership. Um, Padres almost moved because of bad ownership. So hopefully they see what a if you just get some if you get some extra revenue somewhere, there's got to be something they can do to get some extra revenue because they're making bank off the attendance. I mean,
yeah.
second in attendance.
But that's why I don't see anybody moving them, Jack. I mean, most of your sales of teams have been other situations. This is the death of the owner. This has nothing to do with a struggling franchise or one that they feel like, oh, I got to move it someplace where I can get a better deal. A lot of your moves, if you think like even the NFL, was because they didn't give them a stadium. Same with San Diego. That's quite the reason why Spanos moved the Chargers because he couldn't get a stadium. And again, I don't want to get into the Charger talk. We both know that's a bunch of noise. But the bottom line is you look at almost all the franchises that have moved in the history of sports, it's because the city doesn't give them a home for free.
Yeah.
So Shoot, your Kansas City Chiefs, for crying out loud, win all these Super Bowls and go to the Super Bowl, and yet Missouri doesn't give it to them, so Kansas does. So I don't see that.
They stadium.
Yeah, they still have a lease here at Petco. It's one of the top 3 ballparks in America. I just don't see, they have a contending team, year in, year out. I just don't see any circumstance where somebody would come in and pay $2 or $3 billion, to try to move a team. So,
yeah. Mr. Chiprock says John Snyder is a known Dodger fan and cannot be trusted. Of course, he would sell to someone that literally told him he intends to move the Padres.
Mm-hmm.
I would hope not. I mean, he has to see the loyalty and the love that the fans of San Diego had for his brother.
Yeah,
Peter Seidler. Again, Peter was a blessing. I mean, just one of those owners that just, he knew he built a fan base. I mean, a huge.
Well, the other thing we have to remember, Jack, as you will know, Peter. This is Peter's love. I think it's very admirable of the Seidler brothers and Shield that this is not their first love. This is not they didn't buy into this for this reason. This is because of Peter. And I would much rather have somebody admit and say, look, we just don't have the same passion and energy that Peter had towards this team. We'd like to find somebody that does. And the Steelers haven't lied about anything. They've been very straightforward. I just don't see this happening. And you know what? If it happens, then I'm the ignorant one. But there's nothing to me in the resume that says we're going to sell and we don't care where it goes and anything like that.
There's always that. I'm a little reserved because there's always that where you get, hey, we got a great brand new owner, and he turns out to be, what's his name, Warner, who started out good, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to destroy the team. I'm just going to. I don't want that situation because they've built something. I mean, again, Seidler built something magical. I mean, that park, when you go to that game, you come out, your ears are ringing. It's so loud.
Yeah.
I mean, that Padres are the number one team in San Diego. I mean, the Chargers were before they left, but the Padres have taken over. And I would just hate to see an owner come in and just go, oh, we're going to slash payroll down to, back to the.
Well, here's my reasoning. If you were trying to sell this club and you didn't care who bought it, why would you keep investing money like for Michael King to come in here? Why would you do that? I mean, honestly, whenever that happened, that was like that one more thing I could tack on the board that says, yeah, they're not trying to just sell it to anybody. They're selling it to somebody that has the same commitment as Peter had.
Well, there's one potential owner out there. He's from San Diego, and he's worth $10 billion. That would be my first choice, just because he's from San Diego. He grew up in, I guess his family started PSA, which became
Southwest.
Became a United Air or something like that.
Yeah,
and then eventually American Airlines. So that would be my first choice. But again, just so the team stays in San Diego, just so the owners, and I'm not expecting a new owner to come in here and add $100 million to the payroll. It would be nice, but I can't, without television revenue, I can't expect someone to just lose money.
I think, well, again, when these are not just my own thoughts. These are things that I've read and I've heard from people probably know more than I do. Yes, these people are super rich. If you're plopping down $2.5 to $3 billion,
and I thought about doing it.
Yeah.
I passed on it.
Your concern is not the 100 million. It's the 500 million. The 700 million. Not. Yeah. And if you're throwing that kind of money into it, I don't know if it's the primary cause of it is going to be an investment. So yeah.
Yeah, I got that power, Mr.
Yeah.
He says, what I really want is for the Dodgers to move back to Brooklyn, make it happen.
But I think a lot of it, and I guess the interesting thing for me, this is where a lot. I'm not by myself. I think there's a lot of people. I'd love to be in the room to hear the discussions about, what the new the potential owners are talking about as far as the CBA that's upcoming. What's the impact that's going to have on the team? There's a lot of rumors out there about, okay, if they, lock out the whole 2027 season, what would be the ramifications immediately? How much am I going to be, invested into it before I get to actually start seeing my profit? What's the feel in the room about what the new contract's going to include? Is it going to be a salary cap? Is it going to be a salary floor? What's that going to look like? What impact is that going to have on the price of the team and the revenue we bring in? So I think that's what makes this one maybe even more difficult. I'm actually very surprised that even though they talked about it in November, that we're even talking about possible suitors in February. I mean, I really expected this was going to be something that wasn't going to happen until the winter, the next winter, which is this year.
I thought it would be after we found out what's going on with 2027 season.
Yeah,
because again, there's question marks, and I don't know how these high finance people work. I mean, just think if there's no revenue coming in, you're not making any money,
right?
If you are, does it help you pay for your loan? Again, obviously, you don't put $2.5 billion in cash down for a team. It's an investment, but
but to your point though, deep pockets are always necessary. Just like when you buy your home, you don't put 100% of your money into buying a home.
No.
You allocate, 40%, 50% if you have to, but you still got to live. And even though we're talking billions of dollars, this person, if they're worth, $10 billion, well, you know what? I can afford a little backlash at the beginning of this investment. And, I'm not in it just to have it for 1 year. I'm not looking for an immediate turnaround.
Hey, more concerts during 2027 season.
Yeah.
They make
so
money.
I mean, there's a lot of ins and outs on this thing, but I like I said, I've not been worried about the whole sale thing. Once Shield withdrew her lawsuits and everything, that to me was the go sign. That's the green light that probably prospective suitors wanted to see.
Well, you don't have to work. You don't want that lingering.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if that was kind of the beginning talks with some of those suitors that said, "Look, I'm not doing anything until this suit's done." And somewhere level heads finally took hold, and the Seidler brothers and Shield got together and said, "Okay, what do we got to do? Because we're not going anywhere. We're not going to go anywhere if we don't get this settled, because it could be 2-3 years and it's not going to do any of us any good." So,
all right,
let's move on
from that. And Mr. Chip Rock says, "So do we want Azuna or hard pass?" I say stay away from Azuna. I agree. I can't root for somebody who, if you want to see it, there's video out there what he did, and it's pretty graphic. So I would, he's a talented player, but I want to keep on, not that we have to be the Boy Scouts, but I don't want to root for him.
Yeah. Well, and I stay within the baseball. Unlike the Hall of Fame, I actually look at the statistics. To me, I think a better fit is somebody like Goldschmidt. I think we just picked up Andujar, I think, which is a great move. $4 million. The guy whacks left-handers at a nice pace. Hit a total of 318. Has a good slug. He's not gonna be somebody that maybe you put out there every day, but he's a very he's good player.
Going in, he was better than what we started with last year.
Yeah. And then, so now to me, you've got somebody that can play first base, but there's a couple of guys out there that, one we've known before, Ty France, and then you got Paul Goldschmidt. Goldschmidt's a very interesting case because he absolutely kills left-handers. And again, a lot of the offseason was talk about what we can do to get to left-handers, which I think is a funny topic considering you have Tatis, Bogarts, Laureano, and Machado hitting from the right side, but yet we struggled against left-handers. That just still, I don't get it. that's a whole other point about
Well,
what we need our stars to do
we
this
did have
year.
a lot of left-handed bats though last year too.
We did. You got Gavin Sheets did a great job for us, but he sucked
did.
against left-handers, and guys like Gurriel and Maldonado are included in those stats. And so even if some of those guys did a decent job against left-handers, it wasn't enough to override the bad, so I think, we're not done. I always laugh at all these people who, with their prognosis of, their grades of the spring of, the free agent market and the winter. And it's like, dude, AJ Preller he's just now getting started, and I don't blame him. I like his method. If you got a high profile, Michael King, you go get him. After that, you're kind of waiting for guys who don't have contracts, and he's done this, the last 5 years or whatever. I'll give you $1 million to come and try out for us, and you look back 2 years ago, very successful. Solano, Peralta, although Peralta was mostly the second half, Solano was very solid for that one year. Last year, not so good. Joe Connor, Hayward, Gurriel. That was a magnificent thud, no doubt about it.
It just didn't pan out, but then he made up for it because
exactly
everyone likes to bring up the AJ Cooks right before spring. He does. I just don't know if he has, as far as trades, what do we have in the farm system that we could trade?
But see, that's just it. I don't think it's always AJ makes trades. Don't get me wrong. And I would say the trades are, 80% at the All-Star break, the trading deadline. That's when he's a trader, his savvy, 1 year contract thing is where he cooks to me is this time and going forward into spring training. He's found some pretty good gems over the years, and even a couple of catchers that we like. Okay, they weren't the best thing ever, but you think about a couple of the catchers. We had Alfaro, and I got it now. The veteran catcher that we had,
Higgy.
No, well, yeah, Higgy, but the one in between,
Diaz.
No,
one
in between. Can't even remember his name now. Anyway,
he was a good one.
Yeah, he was. I mean, and they work
out. His brother's a pitcher, Nola.
Yeah,
Oscar Nola.
Yeah, that's another one, but it's still not the one I'm thinking of. Anyway,
okay. Well, I can't remember.
I give up.
Johnny Bench wasn't it Johnny Bench?
But I think that's what he does good, and so. Again, I laugh at all these prognosticators about what kind of an offseason they had and all that. And it's like, well, it's not over yet. It's not over till the starting day roster is there. Thank you, Sanchez.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chip Rocks. Yes. That's who I was saying. Gary Sanchez. So
I can see his face.
Yeah. Now I can sit here in Beaumont. I've got a friend up at Verona there. And me and him go back and forth on this because the Felix Fermin trade, and what it means to catcher is great, but what it took away from us is two starters that could have been those proverbial 5th, 6th, 7th starters that I think we're still lacking.
Oh yeah, we need.
I like our starting rotation as far as the 5. I'm really concerned about the depth, because I love our front 3, Musgrove, King, Pavetta. I like Randy Vasquez. I think he's grown
I love
a ton.
Randy Vasquez.
And I don't think that JP Sears really got a good shot with the Padres last year. And I think a good spring training with Niebla is going to shape him up. Yeah. But yeah, I'm a little bit worried about after that. I mean, Waldron, you got Hoeing that might turn into a starter. We're lacking depth. And let's face it, injuries happen to starters. You don't want Joe to be throwing 200 innings this year. He's already been told, hey, we're not. And of course, we got a great bullpen that's going to, make that easier on a lot of our pitchers. So I think that's where you're going to see. I think you're going to see one more starter and a first baseman. I think that's going to be the 2 adds that we're going to see before the season starts.
Would you add a Verlander?
Not personally. I think there's a cost to him that I think is prohibitive. I just think there's a lot of low-lying fruit or low-lying fruit out there. Bassett comes to mind. I just don't think we're going to get. I don't think we're going to get a high ender. Let's put it that way. I don't think it's going to be a guy that you're going to go, oh wow, we got this.
I would like Bassett. I think he's a solid pitcher. He's not your guy. He's not going to go and he's not your number 1 or 2 pitcher. But I think he'd be all right.
It'd be nice to get an innings eater. I mean, I think that's probably more important than anything. We're already, I think, going to be. I mean, we're depending on King. Cross the fingers that the arm thing is totally settled. We know Pavetta's going to eat up innings. We got King. Hopefully, if he returns to form, he's a 6 or 7 inning pitcher. Joe's probably going to just be limited to 5 or 6, at least at the very beginning. And then Vasquez, we know, throws a few too many pitches. So,
yeah, that would be a plus.
Yeah. A D plus, yeah.
I see what you did there.
But I guess the good thing for me is I'm pretty happy with where we're at. If we didn't do anything else, I'd just be worried about depth. But as far as what we have to start the season, I mean, I remember my friend, reminded my friend the other day, you realize at this time last year that our 3 outfielders on the 40-man roster were Tatis, Merrill, and Azekar. We didn't have any other outfielders.
It was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad.
To know that we have our starting lineup, so to speak, already set, like we really have a starting lineup.
I mean, you can live with a Bryce Johnson as your 5th outfielder.
Sure.
I mean, he's a good defensive player.
He came back in the end of the season. I know it was only a couple, 2 or 3 weeks, but he was on fire. So yeah, having him as the 4th outfielder, you just.
Well, I think Andahar would be your 4th outfielder.
Well, right. Andahar is kind of the jack of all trades, so he's actually played some first base too. So
yeah, I mean, I'm just saying you have 5 outfielders.
Yeah.
Whereas last year you had 2.
Yeah.
So I mean, there are 2 great ones.
Yeah.
But I said the only thing that worries me is the pitching, the starting pitching, the bullpen. We have the best bullpen in baseball. I don't care what people say.
Yeah.
We just do.
And I as a Padre fan, as you are for the last umpteen years, and for the last 3 or 4 specifically, we continue to have the best bullpen, and so we know, despite who the manager is and was, you're always going to be very dependent on that bullpen. And the good thing is because we're theoretically about 6 deep of guys that we could throw out there in the 8th inning and beyond. I love the attitude that we can go out there and basically just get 5-6 innings out of our starters, and literally just maybe every once in a while between off days and maybe a Pavetta throws 7 or 8 innings and Michael King throws 7 or 8 innings. I don't see them getting worn down. I mean, Miller, Morejon, Estrada, Adam is coming back. Morgan, it just goes on and on. And yeah. So,
what's his name?
Peralta.
Yeah, Peralta.
Yeah,
who had a really good year last year.
Yeah, he was a lot more solid. I think, if I remember right, Jack, he had a little bit of a rough start. Him, Matsui, both looked a little bit overwhelmed, but.
Jake, everyone wants to trade, but the thing kills me about Twitter. We got to get rid of Jake and his bad contract.
Yeah.
It's not a bad
it's actually not bad. It's a good contract.
Yeah, if you look at other players around the league who are not starters,
Hassan Kim got $20 million a year.
Yeah, $20 million a year, and he's probably not going to play this year.
Yeah, but I mean, even on the outside looking in, it's just like, okay, so defensively, Jake's the money at second base. He hits for power. He's going to give you 15 to 20 home runs. So what? He hits 240, 250. I don't know what. Of course, I always say this. I think everybody wants everybody at every position to be Hank Aaron, for crying out loud. I mean,
We're not the Dodgers. We
Yeah.
can't do it.
And even they don't. I mean, look, they just paid $70 million a year for a 265 hitter.
Yeah, I wasn't. I mean, Tucker has had good years, great years, but I wasn't like, well, whatever. I mean, but
keep spending. I don't. I'm being very serious. I don't care. Keep spending. It doesn't matter to me. At this point, they've spent so much money. I go back to what we were talking about it last year. You know what? Buy every good player because that makes our chances of making the playoffs a little bit easier because you're going to just have all of them lock, stock, and barrel. I don't care.
Yeah. I mean, going back to I did want to touch on I was reading something about the Cardinals the other day. It might have been today or yesterday. Their TV contract, they joined the Major League Base. They're getting $20 million a year.
They went from 60 down to 40, now down to 20.
We're talking about a team that has the second most World Series wins in the National League in their history. I mean, we're talking about a team that has a better history than the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And they can only get a $20 million. I mean, there's Cardinal fans nationwide. I mean, I know several Cardinal fans, and they can only get $20 million.
Yeah.
And I had to explain to Dodger fans, I go, that's not per week.
Yeah.
That's for the whole season because a lot of Dodger fans,
Yeah, the money thing is going to be we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens with it, how they can solve it. I don't think they can solve it. I've written about it. How do you solve something where they're already spending $400 million and they already have that on the books for the next whatever years? The owners are not going to come up with a salary cap that's going to be below what the Dodgers, right? So forget for the next 5 years or whatever, the Dodgers are going to already have their guys.
I've said this last year. Forget the cap. You need to get shared revenue.
Yeah,
that's what you have to work on.
But it's more than that though, Jack. That's why I think it's going to be a lockout for the whole year, and I'm hoping I'm wrong. I really do. I don't want baseball to go a lockout because the bottom line is if you bring the everybody talk about the floor. Oh, well, if you put the floor in, that'll solve it. Okay, so let me put that scenario out there. The Dodgers are spending $400 million, and let's say they make that the cap because it's like, well, we're already under contract. You can't make us get rid of players, right? So you say, okay, so we're going to put the cap at $400 million. All right. So now let's go to the floor. Okay. Let's match at least where the bottom teams can actually make some money. So we're going to make the floor $150 million. So your Florida Marlins, your Tampa Bay Rays, and everybody are going to go, okay, so now we have to spend 40 to 50 million more than what we did. Is that really going to make them in competition with the Dodgers because they're going to add maybe one or two players at 20, 40 million? And is that what they're going to cost if you put a floor down because people go, well, wait a minute, I need one, they need one, they need one. Now you're going to drive up the players' cost. And that's not going to make them any better because instead of getting Ha-Seong Kim at $20 million, it's going to cost you $30 million because the players know that you're under a bag.
To be fair, he wasn't worth $20 million.
And he's going to be under a bag because, oh, well, I know you need to spend money. So, yeah, I'm going to cost more.
Yeah.
So, it's really mind-boggling how they let this get out of control. And all you have to do is look at college sports to see where this is going. Because the NIL money has changed the whole atmosphere of college sports because there's no cap. There's nothing to sit there and say, oh, you can't spend this. All you have to do is look at things like Indiana winning the national championship, a team that, for crying out loud, for years couldn't win more than 2 games a year. Why? Well, because we can go out and buy all these players now. And so that's what a lot of your major sports are going through. You're not going to fix it. And it's going to be a struggle because I hear the players don't want to miss any time. They're willing to stand up for it. But the problem is that even though they're a very strong union, you're fighting for the Machados, the Tuckers, the Sotos. Some of those guys on the bottom are going to go, well, wait a minute. I'm never going to get there. Like, I don't want to go down to the Denny's and have to work as a chef for, a year. Because I don't get the money you guys have. I don't have $300 million sitting in my bank account. So what, I think they're going to be a hard sell. And I guarantee you the owners don't want to have a lockout because just like we were talking about before, well, there goes my revenue, my ticket sales.
I think it's
people aren't going to buy baseball shirts anymore. I mean, it's the whole 9 yards. So
I don't see the players complaining because they're making bank. It's going to come down to the owners because, like you said, the top owners are like the Dodgers, Yankees. I don't know what the Phillies TV contract is, but they're not going to want to give up money.
Nope.
They're not going to want to give up their edge. They have a huge advantage. They're not going to want to give it up. That's where it's going to come down to, where the teams are like saying, hey, we're the Cardinals. We have a $20 million TV contract. The Dodgers have a $331 million contract.
Mm-hmm.
How can we compete? That's, again, I'm pointing. I'm not saying the Padres because the Padres don't have the history. Cardinals do, and they still can't get. It's up to Major League Baseball to figure out how they can make more money from the television that, like the NFL does, and the NBA is basically supported by their TV contract. There's no reason baseball, as popular it is today, cannot make a better TV deal. There's got to be someone out there that's willing to spend money on a TV.
Well, you got to find a better commissioner.
Yeah,
it's just. I'm sorry, he's weak. He's let this happen. I mean, you want to go back to the advent of all this is when the commissioner felt sorry for the Dodgers because they went through a bankruptcy and allowed them to keep a larger portion than any other team in baseball. So that's the problem. I just don't see a solution to that. That's what, through 2031 or something, 235 or
2000.
Yeah, somewhere around there. I mean, so in other words, another 5, 7, 8 years of this. And as it goes along, that if anybody's going to get a bigger TV deal again, it'll be the Dodgers because they're spending all this money, and they got all the money. No, to me, there's a lot of things that they're going to have to fix. They need to fix the whole deferral, and not to say you can't defer, just make the 100% of it hit the luxury tax.
Right.
They need to. I don't think the luxury tax is doing anything to the Guggenheims. So to me, they need to have an adverse impact on international draft money, because that's a very important thing. So what I wrote the other day was, well, why would the Dodgers? And again, I'm a Padre fan. I don't like the Dodgers for the baseball reasons. I don't blame them for what they're doing. If I was a Padre fan, I'd be, all you ever tell.
I've said 100 times, they're not breaking any.
Own it. Just own it.
That's what I say. I've said Dodger fans 100 times. I said, you're not breaking any rules, but just own it. Don't cry that you had McCourt's account, whatever his name was. I go, we had 3 owners worse than that.
Yeah.
3 owners are 10 times worse than that. I go, and I go, you're poor me. We got ripped off in the 2017 World Series. Well, so did the Yankees.
Yeah.
So did other teams that played that year. And, the crying, and it just, again, if the Padres get a new owner and he starts spending money like crazy, but I want to win.
Well, and so to me, so you got to go back to the international money. If you're making that much money and you're spending that much money, well, then leave the international pool for all the other teams. Then, start taking away draft picks if you go beyond the luxury tax. Start taking your second, your fourth, or whatever. I'm not trying to say, just treat them like dirt, like, you don't get any draft picks, you don't get any international money, you're just gonna have to buy everybody. But you got to make it hurt more than the money, because it's been proven already they don't care.
Yeah, they paid $168 million, didn't they?
Yeah, they don't care. They obviously don't care. They don't care about $168 million. They're like, we're making that up by having Ohtani. So what's the difference? Because you got to give the Dodgers credit, as much as we hate to. They made a pitch for the generational player, and this generational player just happens to have a country behind him, and that's no. And I'm serious. That's what made the difference. Well, no, because it's a whole different story. You compare him to Mike Trout. Mike Trout for 5 years was the best player on the planet. Aaron Judge, best player on the planet. You can put these guys up in that echelon that says they are fantastic players. And Ohtani's right there with them. I don't care what anybody says. I don't, everybody goes into the pitching and the hitting. I get it. But when you really get down to the hitting part, I take any one of those three, Soto, a few others, and I would say, you know what, they're about the same. You could argue, but they're about the same. But the difference is Ohtani comes from a different country that is really into baseball and is now just basically just flooding the Dodger pipeline with money.
Well, I could tell you, I was in Japan last April or May, whatever it was. I was in Tokyo, and you couldn't go anywhere without seeing Ohtani's face.
Yeah.
I mean, the money that's what he said. Oh, look how good he is. He deferred he's only making $2 million on his contract. I mean, yeah, he's making $150 million in commercial. Yeah. I mean, you go down that there's huge,
I mean, he's making so much money, he doesn't see it missing.
Exactly. Yeah. How does that happen? So, yeah, when you're saying he owns the country, he owns Japan.
Yeah. And so the Dodgers, the Dodgers own Japan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I give them credit. They saw that vision. Again, I'll go back to my statement as a Dodger fan, just own it. We're not saying you guys you're not you guys, because that's a fan. Your ownership is very smart. They're very coordinated. They managed well and everything. But now you have a serious advantage over people, because what MLB commissioner gave you a decided advantage on money brought in. If you would have taken that money and put it into the revenue sharing like everybody else has to do at the same point, they wouldn't be doing a lot of this. I'm not saying they wouldn't be doing any of it, but they wouldn't be doing a lot of this. So.
Yeah. Anyway, I did want to talk about Luis Arraez. What were your thoughts about losing Luis Arraez? Were you upset? Were you like, oh my God, how can we go without Luis Arraez?
Well, you know how I feel about Luis Arraez. I like Luis. I think me, you, and Jay spent more time talking about the batting rotation than anything else, the lineup. That being said, I did not want him back, not for $12 billion. I didn't. I realize what he can bring to a team. I just don't think that with our team and what we're lacking, it was a good fit. If we were hitting, Toronto Blue Jay home runs, over the top, so to speak, then yes, he'd been great, and I could have stuck him in the 1 hole, or I could have stuck him in the 8 hole, But I'm happy for him. Our friend Michael made the statement, I couldn't have put it any better. It's like, good for him. He's buying him. How do you say it? He's investing in himself. He took the 1-year contract for the Giants for $12 billion because he had multiple year offers from other teams, but he wanted to play second base, and the Giants were the only team apparently that gave him that opportunity at that price. So I know what's going to happen. Of course, when we see him, he's going to hit, go 4 for 5 every game and be a thorn in our side. But for the price, not that I care about the money the Padres spent, for the price and knowing that we still need a starting pitcher and a first baseman, good luck to him.
Yeah, my thoughts on it. I like him. I think he's a good clubhouse guy. He's likable. He's fun. Yeah. He's fun on the field. He's having a good time out there. I just could not stand watching him hit. He drove me crazy. I mean, people are saying, well, he struck out 24 times or something like that. And I go, yeah, he only walked 34 times and 625 at bats. Right. I go, he's not a power hitter.
It's one thing to be able to do it. It's another, should you be doing it? I do the reverse, or the reverse with Soto. We've talked about him a lot, especially with the Padres.
Yeah.
You're my power hitter. You're the guy I wanted to drive the ball.
Right.
I appreciate that you have a good eye, but don't go up there looking for a walk. It's just, yeah.
Yeah. I can see him going to San Francisco. It's a big ballpark, spacious outfield. Again, if he would walk more, I've been saying this since he became a Padre. Dude could hit 400. He has great eye and hand coordination. But again, if I can sit here and watch a game going, well, I would never. I'd throw him the first strike because he's not going to swing at it.
Yeah.
And after that, I'm just throwing him outside pitches where he's going to hit. He'll probably pop up to the left fielder. But anyway, I don't have any. If he would have gone to any other team, but the Giants or someone like that, I would have said, but I can't root for him. But I have nothing against. It's one of those things where I'm glad he's not back. But I had nothing personal against him. I liked him. I liked him as a. He probably seems like a great guy to hang out with.
Right.
And like I said, a good teammate. But like you said, we need power.
I think you can get too predictable too, because that's what I said about Soto. And again, it's funny to compare him and Arise, but they're basically the polar opposites. But the bottom line is that if you're always looking for a walk, Soto, well, then people know that they'll nip around, they'll nip around. And in his case, a lot of pitchers, I'm sure, without saying it, are going, good, take a walk. I don't have to see the ball sail over the fence, And the same thing with the Rise. I mean, I had the same criticism. It's like always taking the first pitch, always taking the first. Okay, predictability, it's not good. That's not good. You got to change it around. And I think that's what what made Tatis a great leadoff hitter. I still personally would like to see him hit lower in the lineup, but that's just me. But the one thing I stress to people, they say, he had an okay year. Are you kidding me? He still had 25 home runs. He scored 110 runs. He drove in, 70, 80 or whatever. What more did you want? Platinum glove. What more do you want from him?
Yeah.
And I think he changed his mindset specifically because he was the leadoff hitter. And I think he did a wonderful job. Now, I think if you want more power out of him, you put him in the 3 slot.
Yeah, I agree. I would go Bogarts, Merrill, Tatis, Machado.
There you go. That's my lineup. Man, we agree. I think that's a great lineup.
Bogarts is really good about getting on base. He's got some punch. He's had like 13 or 14 stolen bases last year. I mean, he's not a burner. He's not going to, steal you 50 bases a year, but he can steal you 20, 25. And
we don't have burners on our team. I mean, you really get down to it. The one thing the Padres have been known for the last few years is just smart base running. Very smart.
Got rid of Kim, running. Got rid of Soto.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot to be said about that. They always talk about some of these bigger guys who are just good base runners. And I think Bogarts falls under that category. And he's not slow, but like you said, I don't expect him to come out and just start stealing 40 bases.
He's no Alan Wiggins.
Now I can go back to my wish list because there's a guy out there that if the Padres ever traded for him, I think we're in lockstep for years. Go get Stephen Kwan. God, I'd love to have Stephen Kwan.
Where are you going to play him?
Left field. Laureano's only here for one more year.
No.
That's a guy to me that would fit in. That's a prototypical leadoff hitter. And all you have to do is just when he leads off, you just put Tatis and then Merrill and then Tatis and leave Machado in the 5-hole.
What about a former Padre, Abrams?
We don't have any place to play him. That's my thought.
I'd put him in the outfield.
Yeah. I'm not you're asking the wrong guy. My son Aaron, he gets a little miffed at me because when he got sent, I was like, I'm all right with it. And he's like, really? And I'm like, yeah, I'm just not a CJ Abrams fan. I'm not saying he's a bad ball player. I just don't. I think he's got some maturity problems.
Well, I'd rather have Woods back if I had my choice. But
but that's the reason you got Total, for crying out loud. Yeah, I mean, that was the other thing. This radio show I like to listen to. What's a sports channel here in San Diego, and he really did a good job. He was talking about the rating of farm systems. And, how the Padres are now dead last, apparently, And he says, let me go back to, 1999, 2000, 2001, and they were number one, and number 2, and then number 6, And he went through the list of players, Jack, and I wish I should have prepared better for this topic. But he went through that list, and the guys that are the studs of those classes are still with the Padres. The other guys that they named, it's like, nope, never went anywhere. Nope, never went anywhere. He's a part-time player. Oh, he's, So it really makes the argument of Preylor's job of how good he is at it, because the article was out there. I think it was J.J. Cooper. I believe it was J.J. something. I think it was Cooper. Did an exhaustive study of from 1992 till present. Every player that was ever on the baseball 1 through 100, and it was astounding that if they were 1 through 3 on that list, they were. I'm doing a bad job here because I'm just paraphrasing, but it was like an 80% chance that they were going to be a great or superstar, right? Literally on 4 through 10, it went down dramatically. I mean, dramatically down to more like great, a small percentage of great player and a larger percentage of just a good player. And then what do they call it? A contributor, right? And if you got out of the top 10, it was minute how many of these guys did better than a contributor.
Yeah, because a lot of these kids that are being drafted are high school kids.
Exactly.
I mean, they're like 16, they're 17, 18 years old.
Well, look at Salas, right? They're just bombing in the rookie ball, and then they get to single A, and they bomb in it, and then they get to double A, and it's like, injuries, So what brought it up, of course, was when the Texas Rangers traded Mackenzie Gore, for Mackenzie Gore, and set 5 of their top prospects, of which none were in the top 100 of Baseball America's prospects, which basically equates to Jack of the Beanstalk. They traded for Mackenzie Gore and gave 5 bags of beans. No offense intended to those individuals, but literally, like, none of them will see the major leagues if it goes by averages. So,
well, Mackenzie Gore too. I know people are always upset we traded him. I go, I'd like to have him on the team as a 4th or 5th starter, but that's what he is.
Yeah,
he
was number 1 for Washington because it was Washington.
Yeah, he's got the talent.
Yeah,
but there's something in him where he just can't.
Well, his lifetime ERA is like 4.04.
Yeah, he can't go the whole season. He just burns. I don't know what it is. I have no idea what it is, but I was not upset when we let people go, oh, Mackenzie Gore. I go,
well, Jack, to that point, who was the key to that trade? Who was the key player for that trade?
It was what's his name? Haskell, wasn't it?
Robert Haskell.
Yeah.
Heard anything about Robert Haskell?
He's been up.
He was the can't miss guy.
Yeah. He's been.
Don't get me wrong. Woods was partially important, but he was still younger then. He was like with Merrill. They were the same.
Well, I'm glad they didn't trade Merrill. So I know Merrill was part of it too.
But you think about that. That's like this guy was the number whatever prospect. This guy was highly thought of, and he is yet to make it. Now don't know the guy personally. I'm not saying he won't ever, but if he was a superstar, he'd be there with Woods right now.
He was up in the big club last year. I don't know how long, but he was up. I don't know because they had
for a cup of coffee. Yeah.
No, he might have been up, but he didn't play a lot. But he was. But again, I was like, oh no, we're trading him.
Yeah.
Abrams, I was okay with because I didn't like him at shortstop. I didn't think he was a good shortstop. And Woods, I was like, well, he's a few years down the road. We'll worry about that later.
Yeah.
But Gore, I was not upset with trading Gore. I said, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with trading Gore. And again, Soto, people say it was a bad trade. Without Soto, you don't have these sellouts at the stadium. That helped build the fan base.
Yeah.
I
just brought up Robert Haskell. It is Haskell. I thought it was Haskell. Last year had 197 at bats and hit 223.
Yeah.
Now that's not a condemning like, oh, that's all he's ever going to be. But the bottom line is that his last 15 games, he hit 184. So
he's on the uptick.
So
again, I have no problem with the way Preller, because he's great at getting talent. I think Padre fans are finally realizing because he hasn't signed an extension and they're freaking out. We need to get an extension. some people still harp on the fact he's traded talent away, but he's gotten talent back. I mean, there's been some trades. Yeah, the Austin Nola trade wasn't a great one. Clevenger, that trade, he blew out his arm, doesn't blow out his arm. Who knows what happens? But he's made some great trades. I mean, he got Cease basically for nothing.
Well, and the thing is I'm always reminded that he is living in the present, and if there's anybody in baseball, and there's not too many like him, he uses prospects for collateral. I mean, and that's just always been his. I'm very thankful. We've gotten a few guys that Merrill, obviously. You got guys like Estrada. Obviously, he traded for Tatis at a young age and kept him. So he hasn't traded everybody. Morahone. So not everybody is straight. Now, one thing that I know we're getting close to, we need to cut it off here, but the one thing that I've enjoyed about the last couple of years is he's tended to get away from the one and dones, the half-year rentals. I'm glad because, like that was the part of the Miller deal last year. It's like, and so DeVries is a perfect example. Now, he may end up biting us because he was a top 3 prospect, so we'll see. But
and
he got
fair,
Miller for 4 years.
Yeah,
but he's got Miller for 4 years. To me, that's a whole lot different than somebody trading him and getting the half-year rental and like, oh, see you later now. So I don't mind those kind of deals because you're just swapping, to me,
trading John Smoltz for Brian Doyle.
Yeah, but the thing is you're trading for an all-star. This guy is already a proven all-star. No ifs, ands, or buts. No doubt about it. DeVries may end up being an all-star for more years. But we've got Miller for 4 for certain. If you get DeVries, you get 6 years. So you're kind of giving away 2 years, granted a hitter versus a pitcher. I mean, that's why I look at it. I get 4 years out of Miller, guaranteed. I get 6 out of DeVries, maybe.
And DeVries, he's blocked at shortstop in Oakland.
Yeah.
They just signed their young shortstop to 7-year contract. So, is it Miller?
Yeah.
Is that his name? Anyway, we'll see.
Jacob Wilson. Yeah.
Jacob Wilson Miller.
Sorry, I just got diverted. My wife just told me it's raining here. So.
Oh, rain! Wow.
Yeah, that was 80 degrees yesterday. Yeah.
You got sandbags in place? We're supposed to have snow tonight, but it's like, I'm
4 inches.
I'm just
yeah.
4 inches. I was hoping for a lot more. Because I don't want to get to it. Anyway, snow days are great because I don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Half days, or when they have a delayed start to their day, I have to do more. So it's like, anyway. But it's good place to stop. We had a good talk. Well, pitchers and catchers report.
Hopefully we get Jay back. I know he's got some family commitments tonight. We got, pitchers and catchers, a week from today, right?
Yeah, and hats off. Can I say hats off to Lindsey Vaughn? I know it's way off. Tore up her ACL, and she won today.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
I don't keep up with that. I read the article. I mean, I read that she had injured herself. They were saying she wasn't going to be in the Winter Olympics this year.
Yeah, she decided she was going to do it, and the doctors are saying she could cause more damage. And if you've ever skied, there's a lot on your knees and legs with skiing, especially if you're going 60 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And I just gave her credit. I said, damn, I thought she was, I go, she can't do it. She's taken up a spot. But she went on to win the gold, so hats off to her.
Good for her. So
anyway,
well, I don't know if it'll be next week or if we're on a full go yet or not, but we'll determine that and get the word out.
Yeah, once spring training starts, I think we should be pretty good to go. Then we're going to have the World Baseball Classic. I don't know. I might be rooting for Tatis and Machado. I don't know. I kind of like that. You look at some of these lineups, you go, man, that's some.
The U.S. I'll say this, and then I'm going to sign off here. The U.S. lineup looks awesome. The U.S. pitching, not so much. So yeah, we'll see. All right.
Should be fun, but thanks for everyone who joined. Thanks, Mr. Chip Rocks, and there was a couple other people in here.
Yeah.
But thanks for joining us. We'll
O's.
We'll try to be more consistent, and we'll get Jay in here. I think that's all I got.
Yeah, Thursday nights, 8:15 Eastern, 5:15 San Diego time.
Well, hopefully we start on time. I mean, I was here at 8:00 and for 16, 17 minutes trying to figure out all the problems that. I don't know why the mic didn't work.
Well, we had a rough off season, Jack. So now we're back in rolling.
It was right. It's really cold out here. I'm in Raleigh, and it's like 37 degrees, and the wind's blowing, so it's like wind chill. Because the other day it was wind chill. It was like -2, and I don't know if you've been in -2, but you walk outside, and you go, oh my god, it's so damn cold. But
no, I went golfing on Tuesday and sweated. Because it was 80, it was 84 degrees. So yeah,
I can see that. I can see that. So that's a bad thing. But.
As your sister texted the other day, 4 inches of sunshine.
Yeah, I saw that. I'll be honest with you. I like the snow.
Good. You
it's
can keep
cool.
it.
That's
you can keep
cool. It. No pun intended, but it's fun watching it float down, and you just sit there. I don't have to do anything today.
Cool. You keep telling yourself that, Jack, and I'm okay with that.
I would much rather have the snow than the summers here.
Yeah. I okay. All right. I'm out of here.
All right. Take care, everybody.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.